What's up, Heffa and friends? Welcome to another episode of Java and Journeys with Jillian. If you're new here to this channel, how are you doing? My name is Jillian, and we are at Disney Springs. Now, it is the beginning of April, which means that Gideon's has a new cookie and cake special that's going to be going on this month. And in the spirit of spring, of course, Easter is right around the corner as well. They have a carrot cake cookie that I wanted to take you all along on this journey to try that. And I think they have also a complimentary cake. I feel like this one is supposed to be more on like the tropical side of the house, but we're going to see, check out their menu. So come along with me on this journey. When this is recorded, y'all, this is a Saturday afternoon. How was your weekend going so far? I think with us now getting closer to summer, certainly the weather has been heating up, but we are due for a very brief cold snap. When I say cold, I'm not talking about like 30 or 40 degrees. We're past that point in what climate change is looking like in the state of Florida. But I'm talking about, it's supposed to get down to like the 50s and 60s next week, which I am embracing because I have a feeling that it is going to be the last sort of quote unquote cold snap that we'll experience before we go full throttle into the summer. And I'm not looking forward to it, y'all. I think I've talked about, I am definitely living in the worst place considering that I am not a summertime girly. I love fall and winter so much more. But we're going to, keep our sunscreen on and try to suffer through it. Here is the queue to get into Gideon's. We are in the queue, and right now the wait is around 45 minutes. I'm gonna be real with you all. So you've seen my other episodes where we have had to be in the Gideon's virtual queue. Thankfully, we're not in the virtual queue, we're in the physical line. I don't think I've ever, when I've waited in the physical line, have had to wait longer than 30 minutes, if that. I mean, listen, y'all, the options are cold brew, cookies, and cake. So you pretty much, and they give you the menu, which I will show you what that looks like. And while you're in line, you should pretty much have an idea of what you want by the time you get up there. That is what one would think. But on the topic of the menu, look at Gideon's springed out menu, which I think is very adorable. And like I was mentioning on the back, for the month of April, we have the carrot cake cookie, which we are absolutely going to get. They have their other, like pretty much daily handmade cookies. And then we get into the cold brews, and something that they have for a limited time is this coconut cream cold brew. You all know how we do things over here. It is hard for me not to stay caffeinated, so we're definitely going to get into that. All right, friends, we have made it in, and for those of you all that have seen my past journeys and adventures to Gideon's, you all know Gideon's doesn't really change its aesthetic a lot, but for those of you all that are my new viewers, let me show you all what Gideon's looks like on the inside. And I especially love the Tim Burton-esque vibes that Gideon's is always serving us. And also, if you ever want to look at some of the merch, as soon as you walk into the door as a part of the queue, they have all their merch pretty much laid out for your viewing pleasure. And I want to say maybe back in February, purchased a Gideon's cookie box, because it was actually a 10. I really liked the aesthetic, the look of it. And because I do come to Gideon's occasionally, I find that it does really keep your cookies fresh for as long as possible before they start going stale. So I definitely thought for me that I'm like, this is a worthy investment, and not even just for my Gideon's cookies, but any type of fresh baked item or cookie that I get, that I have something that is cute and gives me the Tim Burton vibes that I can store it in to preserve it for as long as possible. So let's take a look at that limited edition carrot cake cookie, which you all can see here. And it definitely is giving me like carrot cake vibes. And then of course they have their standard flavors all lined up here, with even more that you can preview on the other side of the cake glass. And here's a look of the cakes that they have available. This center one is the special edition. We have a peanut butter chocolate cake to the left, and then to the right, a standard red velvet. And then here are even more of the standard cookies that they have available. Friends, we have our order right here. And just to let you know what I ended up getting. So I definitely got the carrot cake cookie as the special, and I was wondering what was in the fluffernutter cake, and that is actually a marshmallow based cake, which I thought was really interesting, but I wanted to try that limited edition, which I initially thought was a fluffernutter, but it's not. It's some sort of like a pineapple cake, which I'm wondering if that's adjacent to like a hummingbird cake. So we're gonna see how that tastes. And as always, you know we like to stay caffeinated, my friends. So I have the coconut cream cold brew right here, which I'm super excited to try out. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Ooh, y'all, that is nice. And if I didn't know any better, I would think there was like some Kahlua in this. It's giving me Kahlua vibes, but it does not. It's non-alcoholic, doesn't have any kind of liqueur in it, but it is very nice. It's also sweet. You all know I don't really like my coffees and cold brews to be exceptionally sweet, but this one is on the sweeter side, but has really good flavor. So it is a delightfully sweet treat, which I'm probably going to share some with my co-producer because your girl's not trying to walk out of here with diabetes. However, I will risk high blood sugar to tell you all how good some of these treats taste. I'm going to switch things up for this one. So in one of my former videos, I actually did something similar where got some Gideons, tried it at home. Y'all, we're gonna do that again today. It is very warm out here right now, so I'm going to run a couple of more errands while we're here at Disney Springs and catch you all up at home to show you all the cake and the cookie and let you all know how it tastes. Hello, friends. So we are back at home. I had a chance to take a nice hot shower. I'm feeling so refreshed. I also started watching a few episodes of Mythic Quest. Y'all, have you seen Mythic Quest before? It is on Apple TV and it is so good. I highly recommend it. And I think because of my co-producer's background in gaming and engineering, and then also with my background in like working in some in tech, not engineering, but it is so crazy watching some of these shows, and especially when they're shows depicting professions that you're in or that you know someone is in, and like thinking through the nuances of it. It's such a great comedy. I highly recommend it, especially if you are a gamer, if you're into like design, game development, whatever. It's just great fun. I got distracted and I'm like, I can't leave my people hanging. I need to talk about these desserts that we got from Gideon. So let me show you all what everything looks like. So here we have the limited edition cake. So as I was saying earlier, and I'm so happy your girl, like the synapses are firing, this does have pineapple in it and it's a bit of like a Hawaiian cake. I cannot wait to take a bite of this just to be able to see if I can taste other ingredients and what all is in it. And then we also have our carrot cake cookie. So let's go ahead and dive into these and see what they're like. I almost thought that the special cake was the marshmallow based one that we were talking about earlier. And luckily my co-producer caught that and he was like, no, I think it's this, I think it's a completely different cake. And I had gotten confused because the signs were together. And I thought it was saying that the limited edition cake was the marshmallow cake that we saw. Y'all, that is delicious. I mean, it's straight up like it kind of tastes like a pineapple upside down cake. I should have a hot cup of Java right here. Get yourself a good cup of coffee when it comes to Gideon's desserts. But this cake is so good. It is straight up creamy pineapple, some vanilla, caramel notes. It definitely gives me that like pineapple upside down cake vibes. I highly recommend it if you are a fan of pineapple. And I feel like it's a great take on spring and summer, right? You have the carrot cake cookie, which is definitely more of the spring vibe. And then you pair it with that pineapple, and that like takes you right on through to the summer. I think it's really good. Now, the icing is quite dense. I wish the icing was lighter, but that is the thing with Gideon's cakes, y'all. Their cakes, and depending on the icing pairing, can sometimes taste and be very dense. I mean, let's take another look at this cake one more time. So you can see here, and I love Gideon's cakes, but they sometimes can be very heavy. Like y'all, this cake, you can easily share it with 3 or 4 people. Easy. I know for myself and my sister, when we get the Gideon's cakes typically, or even my husband, it takes us like multiple days. And sometimes we end up having to throw out like the last bits of it out because it's just so hard to get through. And because that icing is so sweet and it's so dense, it makes it sometimes really difficult to get through a whole piece of cake. Because if you're not a big icing, like traditional icing fan, depending on how some of their cakes are made, you may not opt for it. So always do your research when it comes to trying out Gideon's cakes and figure out like what kind of icing is on it. They do switch up the icing from here and there, but this is definitely traditional heavy icing. Let's get into this carrot cake cookie. And I'm a huge fan of carrot cake, so I'm looking forward to trying this one. So good. Taste the carrot, the walnuts. And what I like on top is that I think the icing may be like some sort of cream cheese icing, but it's not a very heavy cream cheese flavor, which is good because my co-producer is not a fan of cream cheese at all. So I'm looking forward to telling him that neither the cake nor the cookie, at least I don't believe the cake has any type of cream cheese in it. If it is a cream cheese icing, that's surprising to me because I don't taste the cream cheese. It tastes more like a traditional vanilla, but this is so good. And if you're someone that's not a big cream cheese fan, but you love like carrot cake, I think this is great because the cream cheese is not at all overpowering. And what I particularly love about this cookie versus the cake, I don't think the cookie tastes as sweet as the cake does because of the heavy icing on the cake. So I think if you're looking for something that's a little bit more balanced, has great texture, crunch, and softness of a freshly baked cookie, go with the carrot cake cookie, which of course is only available for a limited time. And then the limited edition cake, which is what they call it, that one is delicious if you are a huge fan of pineapple, if you love caramel, if you love pineapple upside down cake. That is what I highly recommend, especially if you love sweet vanilla icing. Y'all, with that being said, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If there are any places in Disney Springs or in the Orlando area that you would like for me to check out, whether that's a cafe, it could be a Disney restaurant, doesn't matter. The point of my channel is to take you all along on all of my crazy journeys, whether that's Disney related, non-Disney related, Universal, doesn't matter, right? We're gonna have a good time together and stay well caffeinated. Catch you on the next one. Bye.